Fireworks light up the sky this 4th of July. Mississippi State might be lighting up the recruiting trail. Not one, but possibly two major commitments could be on the way. This isn't just a holiday, it could be a turning point for the Bulldogs 2026 class. Let's break it down.
You are Locked On Mississippi State, your daily podcast on the Mississippi State Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, happy 4th of July, everyone, and thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. I'm Jaron Spor, National College Football Writer at Athlon Sports. That's Landon McBride. We've got a fun show for you today. We're obviously going to talk about the commitments like I just mentioned in the intro. We're also going to get a little 4th of July themed topic in here. We're going to call it Firework Worthy Moments. So some of our favorite moments in Mississippi State athletics, really all of them. Yeah. We did football. We have even basketball in there. So baseball, obviously. So we're going to give our top 5 firework worthy moments. And then, of course, every Friday we end with Next Up in Starkville, where we kind of preview something that we're looking forward to either over the weekend or into the following week. But first, we got to start off with some recruiting news, because 4th of July is a massive day for recruiting, not just for Mississippi State, but across the country, as several players are committing. The two ones to kind of keep an eye on for Mississippi State are Javen Holmes. He's a 3-star prospect, a safety from Louisiana. He's down to, remember, he was committed to Louisiana, and it sounds like while Mississippi State, Houston, and Rice are in his final 3, it sounds like Mississippi State and Houston are kind of battling for his commitment. As for the other one, that's Tomareo Johnson, who we talked to you about earlier in the week when we said if Iverson McCoy doesn't commit to Mississippi State and ends up choosing Ole Miss, which was a recruitment we still think will go all the way into the season, even with him making his decision yesterday. We thought Tomareo Johnson would kind of be the play, and he's committing around 2:00 Central Time later on today. I don't see a time for Javen Holmes, I haven't seen a time, but it should pop at some point today as well. But yeah, I mean, what's your thoughts on those? Could be a big day.
Yeah, it could be a big day. Two guys that we've talked about, both safeties, ranked very closely together. On 247, they're 109 and 111. So, I mean, their tags are touching pretty much on who would be technically the better prospect. Similar builds, both listed at 6'2", one's at 190, one's 200. So, I mean, there's a type they're looking for in the secondary. Lot of safeties in this class. It is interesting. I've talked about how many, probably running 3 of them out there pretty much every snap anyway, but it is still a lot of safeties. But, both are very talented, those longer, bigger safeties. So it's good to have more bodies when you're trying to build a defense from the ground up. We do think it's going to be better this year, but this is huge for the long-term health of this defense.
Yeah, for sure. And we talked about this as well. What was that? Maybe 2 weeks ago or something. It felt like we had like 3 commits on defense. Like we were putting together a pretty good class. We just had rattled off so many commitments that big weekend. And we moved up to 32nd in the country in recruiting class rankings, but it was like all offense. There was like no defensive players in this class. And so in the intro, I talked about how these commitments could be a turning point, because we could start seeing finally a run on defensive players. And even if it's just 2, right now, that's big, because we said it back then. We need to start getting some of these defensive guys in the boat. And that's exactly what would happen if you're able to land these 2. Just to clarify, Mississippi State is still number 32, so they haven't changed. But yeah, you start getting some of these defensive guys and start getting some momentum there. Obviously, earlier this week, you had the TJ White commitment. Didn't go your way. So you just need to start making a run on some defensive guys.
Yeah, you do. And both of these guys, Tomareo is a Mississippi guy. Javen Holmes, you're getting him out of Baton Rouge. That's right there. That's not you recruit Louisiana well. That's not your backyard.
Right.
So, getting both these guys are big for different reasons in terms of the recruiting base. It's just you got to start stacking wins. And both
Yeah.
of these guys, I mean, you're not going up against huge names in the recruiting, at least not for Johnson. Javen Holmes, I mean, we've seen Houston can recruit great at various times over their career. I mean, they, brought in 5 stars different couple times, uptick now that they're in the Big 12. But, you got to win those type of battles.
Yeah, for sure. And I will just say this again. I've said it many times, but I do want to preface I am not a stars don't matter type of person, because if stars didn't matter, then the
They
teams,
wouldn't have them.
well, that and also the teams that recruit at the top and get these guys wouldn't be the best teams every year, like if they don't matter. So I don't agree with that, but I do agree with you never know like what kind of evals the coaches make.
Mhm.
And so that's why I always like looking at the offer list from someone instead of looking at just their stars. Obviously, their stars usually are a good indicator of their offers as well. But I saw just the other day, it was I can't remember what program it was, but it was a big time program, and I was doing a story about it on Athlon, and they got a commitment from a guy that was 3-star on some sides, 4-star on some other sides, but he was a lower 4-star essentially. And he was an offensive lineman, and this school is known for offensive line. Like they have an elite offensive line school. And in the story, the coaches talked about how this guy was always, after watching all the tape and all the measurables, this was their top target, like over all of it. And there's 5-stars in their backyard that they're like, this guy is the top prospect. Now, we'll see if that ends up panning out for him. But that just goes to show you, just because you're the 5-star doesn't mean that's what the coaches see as well. And
Yeah.
so that's why I like to look at the offers. And so we've talked about some of their offers, but Tomareo Johnson, he has a Tulane offer, has a Texas Tech offer, has a Vanderbilt offer. UNLV is one of the better group of 5 programs, has their offer as well. And then obviously Javen Holmes. Tulane has been a consistent group of 5, one of the top group of 5 teams. Houston, Memphis is another great group of 5 teams. So
Mhm.
not eye-popping offers. It's not like Georgia and Ohio State and all this, but if it was, they'd be 5-stars most likely. But a really good offer list for both of them.
Yeah, they are. And like we mentioned, I mean, you just got to start getting wins at some point. They did after the big weekend. They brought in, was it 7 or 8 recruits in one weekend, pretty much. That's huge, but you have to keep the momentum going.
Yeah.
And getting these 2 guys would be big
Right.
because, especially for the defense, you're trying to rebuild.
Changes the narrative.
Yes, you're trying to rebuild the defense. A lot of the guys you brought in to change the defense this year are either gone after this year or they have 1 year left. I think
Right.
the majority of the transfers were either seniors or juniors. So there's not a lot of proven depth on the defense. So you need as many bodies as you can get there. So if we do see a jump this year and maybe next year with some of these guys sticking around, in 2 years, you don't see the massive drop off back to 120th in defense. You need to have the pieces in place to continue to grow.
Right. And I'm glad you brought up, you just need to get some wins. When you're rebuilding a program, you're not expected to beat the Georgias, the Ohio States, the Tennessees, who just made a college football play. But you need to beat the teams that you should beat. And so in these recruitments, Houston, you should beat. For Javen Holmes, Houston, you should beat. Now, you have to kind of put in, like, does the guy want to be closer to home? Things like that matter as well. But I'm just saying, in terms of just head up, you need to win that battle. Tomareo Johnson, you need to beat. Like, I'm looking at, again, I read off all those schools: Vanderbilt, Texas Tech. Let's see, UNLV's on there. Like, I'm looking at all these schools that offered him. You are a better program than these schools. You need to beat them. And so we'll see what ends up happening moving forward. But, I was reading about Holmes. It was in the Thursday Dog Biscuit, Maroon and White Daily. Again, go subscribe to them on 3. They do a great job. But they basically said if Mississippi State pushes for Holmes, Holmes will come to Mississippi State. And so it just all depends on how much they're going to push for him ultimately.
Yeah, and I think when all is said and done, when these commitments are announced, both of them are coming to Mississippi State unless something crazy happens. So should have some fireworks on the recruiting trail at least. So hopefully things go our way.
Yeah, and Tomareo Johnson is one that they believe, would be a shock if he doesn't end up committing. Again, Johnson's committing at 2:00. I did not see one for Holmes, so I'm not sure on the time on that, but I'm sure it will get announced somewhat quickly because people are going to want to go celebrate. So we'll see what happens. But all right, coming up next, we're going to talk about our firework worthy moments in Mississippi State history. We each gave a top 5. We're going to go through that. That's coming up next. We've all been there, longing on early and waiting forever for concert tickets to go on sale, only to lose your spot for a show you've been dying to see. Live music should be about making memories, not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping. That's where Game Time comes in. Game Time makes getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever. Prices actually drop as it gets closer to showtime, and you can save up to 60% off with their killer last-minute deals. I've used Game Time a few times. One thing I love is the panoramic seat view that you get, so you know exactly where your seats are going to be. If you're going to a concert, you know if there's a seat is going to be blocked off from viewing the stage. I also love that last minute, a lot of places, their ticket prices go up, Game Times come down. So I love that as well. It makes everything easier if you decide last minute, hey, I actually want to go to this. Or if you're like, hey, it's too pricey right now, let me wait till last minute, see if something comes down. I love that as well. So take the guesswork out of buying concert and show tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, Landon, let's get into our firework worthy moments, our top 5. Let's just go kind of back and forth. Your number 5 is who?
Well, I had a hard time figuring out what would actually be 5 through 1 on these because they're all awesome. So I just kind of picked a top 5. These are not in any particular order. So I'm going to start with the oldest one on my list. The 1980 upset over number 1 Alabama. Considered one of the biggest upsets in college football history, ended Bear Bryant's 28-game win streak 6-3. So a lot of fireworks in that game. When I was reading the recap, my favorite nugget from it was that back then, if the crowd got too loud, the quarterback could just tell the ref and they would stop the play clock.
Yeah.
And so a flag was thrown on Alabama for a delay of game, but the quarterback had gone and told the ref he couldn't say anything because of how loud the crowd was in Starkville. So it didn't count and they ended up getting the stop anyway. But just hearing how much rules have changed, I mean, 1980 is not that long ago, and that it's changed that much is crazy.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so if we're going to do that, then I'm going to not do mine ranked. I'm going to go in order of date as well. So my oldest is November 16th, 1996. A lot of Mississippi State fans will remember this. This was the Snow Bowl victory against Alabama. Mississippi State defeated Alabama 17-16 in a literal snowstorm in Starkville. Obviously, that's a rare situation to be in. It's you never forget it. And so I'm going to go with the Snow Bowl as my number 5. So what's your number 4?
Well, I was going to have that one next too. So,
all right.
Yeah, that was next on my list. And, that was 1996 was the next time they beat Alabama since 1980. So,
yeah.
I mean, ended a 15-game losing streak on there. Game was crazy. Actually, it still exists in its entirety on YouTube. You can watch it. I watched part of the fourth quarter when we were making this list. And, man, I do not know what Alabama's quarterback was thinking on that interception. When I paused it, there were 5 defenders around the guy. It's like, why did you throw that? I'm glad he did. But why didn't you read? So that would be my number 4 if we're, going in that order.
I like that one. So my number 4, I'm jumping all the way to 2014. Dak Prescott and the Mississippi State Bulldogs. They were ranked number 3 in the country. They were playing number 2 Auburn at home. They jumped out to a 21-0 lead. They ended up pretty much coasted to a 38-23 lead, or 38-23 win. Auburn made things a little interesting in the third, cut it to 8, but ultimately Dak Prescott was massive in that game. 246 yards, had a touchdown. Passing, had 21 carries, 121 yards, and 2 touchdowns rushing. Because of this dominant win, really, they vaulted to number 1 in the I believe it would have been the college football playoff rankings already at that point of the season, which obviously, as we know, was the first and only so far in Mississippi State history. So it might not have been a college football playoff yet. Definitely was AP poll.
Yeah, it was AP
which,
poll.
Yeah, which would have also been the first in program history as well. So I'm going to go with that one.
So mine's very similar. Mine was just that season, just the run of wins. Was it LSU, A&M, Auburn, 3 straight top 10 wins, not beating all 3 of those teams, and then getting to number 1. And just the season Dak had that year was just unreal. I mean, he put the team on his back. Not saying there weren't other great players on that team, but there were times where he was just making magic happen. And with 2 Cowboy fans, that was going to be on here.
Yeah, for sure. Had to have that one on there. All right, so my number 3 is I'm going to the women's college basketball ranks when Mississippi State knocked off.
We didn't talk about this, guys.
We did not talk about it, but some of them are kind of obvious which moments are going to get picked, especially for us and our age. We're not going to remember stuff that happened because we weren't alive. We're not going to know stuff that happened in the 50s, 60s. So if you have some of those great moments, we want to hear that as well.
1980s as old as we go.
Yeah, right. Obviously, in our lifetime, one of the best dynasties in all of sports is UConn women's basketball. Obviously, they just won another national championship, but in this 2017 season, they were riding a 111 game winning streak, and they were in the Final Four against Mississippi State. No one was picking Mississippi State to win this game, and not only did Mississippi State win it 66-64, but Morgan Williams hit the game winner at the buzzer to knock off the Huskies. I remember watching this game and just being completely stunned because you were kind of watching. Obviously, you wanted Mississippi State to win, so you're watching it hoping they would win. But you're also watching it just because it's like insane what UConn is doing.
Yeah.
And
when will they lose?
Yeah, when will it lose? And it felt like we were watching almost every game. When are they going to lose? When are they going to lose? And Mississippi State jumped out to a 9-point lead. They had an 8-point lead at halftime. But then UConn stormed back to tie it at the end of the third. And it's like, okay, here it goes. They're about to just go on this big run and win it. And you're able to keep it obviously tied to head into overtime. And then overtime, you held them to 4 points in overtime. So obviously a great game. And so that's why I'm going to end up going with that one.
Yeah, that was my next one too. You can't, how can you not have that up there? Beating one of the greatest dynasties in, the last, 30, 40 years.
All right.
And one game away from the championship. That's, how is that not up at the top of everyone's list?
Yeah, and I have a feeling I already know your number 2 because this is probably the best moment maybe in all of Mississippi State athletics history, and that's going to be the 2021 College World Series national championship for baseball. Obviously, their first ever national championship in any sport, I believe. Well, we did have esports, so we talked about previously. But they shut out Vanderbilt 9-0 in Game 3. Just a pitching clinic. So I just went with Mississippi State over Vanderbilt for the national championship.
Yeah, that was my number 1. How can it be? We've talked about baseball so much that might have influenced a little bit why it was number 1, just because we've been reliving it so much with the firing of Lamonis and now this crazy rejuvenation, and we're all looking for the next one now with how many people are with the transfer class. But that run was magical. That was a great run. Yeah. That Vanderbilt game was insane, shutting someone out, especially, a team that good that season and a program that good in Vanderbilt. Amazing thing. So, yeah, that was my number 1.
And I went back and forth on my number 1. Again, we're not ranking these. We were ranking them in chronological order, although this one's going to be out of place because I just now decided to go with this one over the one I previously was going to go with. But I got sold on it because the 2013 Super Regional versus Virginia, when they won a dramatic Game 2 to advance to the College World Series, they made a championship, make it to the championship round, I believe, and then lost. Obviously, that run set up, in my opinion, what happened. I know it was 8 years later, but what set up what happened in 2021? That just kind of laid the groundwork, and that was obviously a thrilling game. And we know how good Virginia is, and Brian O'Connor, now the head coach, we know even more about Virginia. I just have to give props because I think that kind of set up the big run towards the end. So
Yeah,
that will be our top 5.
Say honorable mention. What ended up being just outside of my top 5 was the 1999 SEC West title. It was another great season in football. Finished 9-2, barely lost to Tennessee in the title game. So that was just right on the outside looking in. If you're wondering why that wasn't there, I don't know. I had to get 1980 Alabama. I had to get one old one in.
Yeah, I like that one. All right, coming up next, we're gonna reveal what we're looking forward to the most in Starkville this weekend. Don't go anywhere. All right. Well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, Landon, what are you looking forward to the most?
I think I used this one last week, and it's just football recruiting. We got the 2 that are coming out today. 2 are announcing today. They may have already announced by the time you're listening to this, but there could be more. Just because people aren't saying when they're going to commit doesn't mean those won't pop off. So we got the 2. We're
baseball too. I mean, we didn't get to talk about it, but they got a commitment. We'll talk about that Monday. But baseball too.
Yeah, baseball's still coming, especially the high school class. Transfer portal mostly done, it seems like. I keep saying that, and the more people keep showing up. But I would say it's probably mostly done at this point. But I'm really looking at the football recruiting with the 2 today and just seeing if anyone else follows suit.
Yeah, for sure. I like that one. I'm not going to give a sports-related one. I'm just 4th of July weekends here. It's one of my favorite holidays, obviously, celebrating the nation's independence. I even looked up some of Mississippi State's famous alumni that also served, athletes that also served in the military and stuff like that. And I thought that was really cool. Obviously, Duty Noble was one of them, was probably the most notable one, but there was several others. And so, just thank everyone for their service to the country and everything like that. And then have a fun and safe holiday and, celebrate wisely and smartly. Don't need to
fireworks. Don't blow your fingers off. Don't.
Yeah, exactly. Who is that? Jason Pierre-Paul.
Don't pull Jason Pierre-Paul.
Yeah. No. Don't do that. But no. So next up in Starkville, the thing I'm looking forward to the most is just celebrating the 4th of July. It's a great time with the friends and family. Watch some hot dog eating contests. So maybe that should have been
Chestnut's back.
Yeah, I know he's back. Maybe that should have been what I'm looking forward to the most. Joey Chestnut's back. I am interested to see how many he ends up beating. It's so funny because I think it's disgusting, but I'll watch it every year.
Oh, I watch it all the time. I love it.
Yeah, so interested to see that. But big 4th of July plans for you? We're gonna go to the lake.
Really, my other job, I work for a city, so we have our 4th of July parade. On the 4th of July. So my part of my day is going to be spent working, and then I'm just gonna come home, spend time with my girlfriend. We're gonna cook some hot dogs and see how our puppy reacts to fireworks for the first time. That should be fun for us.
Gotta have hot dogs and hamburgers. Our dog does not like fireworks at all. They've been popping them off near the house, and she's been freaking out. Yesterday we were going for a walk, and they started shooting them off, and she bolted to get to the house. So she's not a fan of it. But
the big display is about 1.5 miles up the road from us, so we're gonna hear them real loud. We're gonna see how she reacts. She's either not going to care or she's going to lose her mind because that's how she reacts to everything.
Yeah. So it should be a fun experience. Well, all right. Well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen today. For your second listen, check out The Portal Show. Brian Smith has the latest rumors, portal entries, and signings. Be the most informed fan on the rapid changes to the college football landscape. Find The Portal on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. I'm Jaron. Check out my work over on Athlon Sports. That's Landon. Follow us, Locked On Mississippi State. We're on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. We post daily videos Monday through Friday, so check those out. Also, hit the like, subscribe, hit the bell to get any notifications anytime we post a new video. We love your interaction. We love, obviously our everydayers that we've now built up over time. But yeah, I mean, it just, we definitely would enjoy the support. We love the support. We mentioned how we would like to get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube by, early football season. We're over 500, which I think we've grown 500 in the last 3 months, which has been the off season. So that's
y'all showing up since we've started asking y'all to do that. I mean, we have added a number of subscribers. So thank y'all so much.
Yeah. So thank y'all for that. We, again, tell your friends about us. We're ready for this football season and hope to bring you some of the best coverage in the country, best Mississippi State coverage for sure. So we'll hopeful for that. But have a fun 4th of July weekend. Until next time, Hail State.
Hail State.